Now, we all know that the UK is built different. That the moment a single snowflake, which forms from the clouds and goes all the way down to the sidewalk, and when it touches the pavement, they declare national emergency. They stop the schools. They have to deal with car crashes. They tell people to stay in homes because it's dangerous outside. And this is just like from one snowflake. But I didn't know that in the summer, apparently, if it's 26 degrees heat, it's already national headlines. It's like, oh my goodness. The heat wave. Keep grandma safe. Keep her in her house. Now, it is 27 degrees here, and I didn't even turn on the air conditioning. Like, the weather is quite pleasant. But I want you to understand why they are making these articles. What is going on here is language games. There is the scientific definition of a heat wave, and then there is the common speech definition of a heat wave. So if you tell someone that there's a heat wave, they expect that if they were to go outside, they would start sweating. Like, they would expect that if they have heart issues or blood pressure or any other medical condition, that maybe they shouldn't go during the hours of 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. outside, and they should wait either for early morning or late at night. But what the science explains on what a heat wave is, they consider it a 3-day period where temperatures are close to historical highs. So in the case of the UK, these are the numbers that I found out. So you notice that these are the temperatures for the middle of June. And they're basically saying that for 2 days, right? So it's not even 3 days, because like the scientific definition that I found, like maybe they've updated it. But the scientific definition that I found was for 3 days. So they're only talking about 2 days of 26 degrees. Like, this is just barely touching it. Just barely touching it. But it's enough for them to write an article about national headlines. Because, you know, if people from Britain would just pay more taxes and vote more Greens, vote Labour, vote to rejoin the European Union, the weather temperature is going to go down, right? And you have to do this in perpetuity. Like, there is no, like, okay, we do this for a little while and then we return. No. You will never drive a car again. You will never see another cow. You will eat the bugs. You will live in your 15-minute city. And then the weather may be more merciful, and we're not going to have 26 degrees heat waves, and we're going to have like 22. And it's interesting, right? Because they never blame China for this. Like this is what I find interesting. like, if all the Western nations were to pressure China to stop polluting, then China would have to comply because they would have no one to deal with, right? But they're not interested in that, which is why I find it interesting that it's the little guy getting lectured, right? Like, this is not Jeff Bezos being told, hey, maybe you shouldn't travel with your yacht anymore. This is not like the British politicians being told, hey, maybe we should have more Zoom conferences rather than you taking a private jet and going in all these business meetings. Like maybe you can just fly commercial, right? It's not the rich or the wealthy that are being lectured with this. It's you, the peasant. And you, the peasant, you need to give away your gas stove. You need to stop eating meat. You need to turn off your air conditioning. You need to stop driving a car. You need to be okay with the 15-minute city plans. Right? It's the little guy that have to make all these sacrifices. And again, in perpetuity, like, you have to make these sacrifices. Your children have to make these sacrifices. Your grandkids have to make these sacrifices. Which, by the way, another interesting thing is that they also say now, you should have less kids. You should have less kids because children have carbon footprints. So in other words, we need to save the planet, but for whom? For whom? Because, like, the planet isn't dying, right? Like, animals will still live. Like, they will adapt. It's going to be difficult for humans. But, like, we're saving the planet for humans, but just don't have more humans. And also interesting, because in the mind of the environmentalist, you know, they believe in the science, but their version of science contradicts what we know about human reproduction. Like you know, the human reproduction is when a male and a female, they can't even articulate what those are, by the way, get together, fornicate, and they have a baby, right? That's how human reproduction used to work. But apparently, this is a reactionary concept, bigoted, stuck in the old ways. It's not what the science teaches. The science teaches that you need to vote progressive parties into power. And once they get into power, they will have open borders. And as people come in, that's how you multiply the human race. And it's also interesting, again, like, if you're going to say that we need to reduce the carbon footprint, so you need to have less kids. Okay. A person living in Britain is going to pollute far more than a person living in most African nations. And this is due to the fact that they have access to so many amenities. I mean, even getting a smartphone in Britain, it's incredibly easy. Like, you see beggars on the street with smartphones. But if you go in Africa, you'll notice that that's not the case, right? So, like, if you take a person from a country which pollutes less, produces less carbon, and you put them in the UK, they will pollute more. It's just by the nature of things. So they're really interested about protecting the planet and lowering the carbon emissions, but they're constantly, like, bringing people from countries that don't pollute as much into countries that do. And again, when you integrate into a first world nation, you gotta pollute. Like, there's no other way. You need the smartphone. Smartphone costs electricity, right? You need to travel. You need the car. You got the gas stove. And of course, this is done through the welfare system. I mean, the medical industry pollutes. Like, during COVID, everyone was wearing the masks and stuff. Like, that has microfibers. So, my point is, I see a lot of people saying, you know, whether or not global warming is real, and you get, like, all these YouTube pop-ups, and they're like, oh, no, the science, the consensus, you know, like, okay. But even if that were to be true, I don't see the leaders trying to fix it. Like, what they're saying, I don't care, but I'm watching what they're doing, and they're definitely not interested in fixing it. Unless they want to fix it from their yachts and private jets, then maybe. But otherwise, not so much. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. And there is a link into the pinned comment. And I will not shill my subscribe star. This time I will shill my live stream channel. My live stream channel is kind of small. It's not doing as well as I wanted to. So if you guys could be kind enough to subscribe to my live stream channel and join when I'm live streaming, I would appreciate that. And I will also interact with the chat. It's what live streamers do. So hopefully I'll see you guys there. Take care.